Good evening. Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts. The victims were in airplanes or in their offices, secretaries, businessmen and women, military and federal workers, moms and dads, friends and neighbors. Thousands of lives were suddenly ended by evil, despicable acts of terror.
September 11th, 2001, a date that changed the course of history. On that clear Tuesday morning, the United States faced the deadliest attack ever committed on American soil. 4 coordinated attacks carried out by the Islamic extremist group Al-Qaeda left 2,976 people dead, reshaped global politics, and triggered 2 decades of war. But how exactly did it happen? And who was behind it? And what exactly was the global aftermath? Let's break it down. On the morning of September 11th, 19 men associated with Al-Qaeda hijacked 4 commercial airplanes. At 8:46 a.m., American Airlines Flight 11 crashed in the North Tower of the World Trade Center in New York City. Most people, at first, thought it was a tragic accident, but 17 minutes later, at 9:03 a.m., United Airlines Flight 175 struck the South Tower. That's when the world knew this wasn't an accident. At 9:37 a.m., a third plane, American Airlines Flight 77, slammed into the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia, the heart of the U.S. military. The fourth plane, United Airlines Flight 93, never hit its target. Passengers on board fought back after learning about the earlier attacks through phone calls or other sources of media. That plane crashed into a near field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, at 10:03 a.m. It's believed that the intended target may have been the White House or the U.S. Capitol or another building regarding any official government control. Meanwhile, the 2 towers of the World Trade Center, already engulfed in flames, began to collapse. The South Tower at 9:59 a.m. collapsed, and shortly after, the North Tower followed. At 10:28 a.m., both towers were gone, and the New York skyline was forever changed. The attacks were carried out by Al-Qaeda, a radical Islamic terrorist group founded by Osama bin Laden. This group saw the United States as an enemy for its presence in the Middle East, especially within Saudi Arabia and its support for Israel. Bin Laden had already been involved in previous attacks, including the 1998 U.S. Embassy bombings in Africa and the 2000 bombing of USS Cole. The planning for the attacks had been underway for years. The attackers entered the U.S. months before. They trained in American flight schools, learned to blend in, and coordinated with terrifying precision. The U.S. intelligence community had picked up some signals, hinting towards warnings and clues, but the scale and method of the attack were underestimated. In the days that followed, the U.S. was in shock, mourning the dead, searching for survivors, and trying to understand what had just happened. First responders, firefighters, and police officers were hailed as heroes, many of whom lost their lives trying to save others. The U.S. government responded swiftly. On October 7, 2001, less than a month after the attacks, the United States invaded Afghanistan. The goal was to dismantle Al-Qaeda and remove the Taliban regime that had shattered bin Laden. These invasions didn't stop in Afghanistan. The invasions on Iraq soon followed and cited connections to terrorism and weapons of mass destruction, although the link to 9/11 was highly disputed and never confirmed. Back at home, security was transformed. The Department of Homeland Security was created, and airport security became stricter under the new TSA. The controversial Patriot Act gave U.S. agencies broad powers to monitor suspected terrorists and sparked major debates about the privacy and civil liberties. These are still debated to this day. The impact of 9/11 is still felt today. In total, nearly 3,000 people from over 90 countries were killed in the attacks, and tens of thousands more, including first responders and residents, suffered long-term health effects due to the toxic dust at Ground Zero, the area closest to the base of the building. Osama bin Laden remained at large for almost a decade. In May 2011, he was finally located and killed in Pakistan by U.S. Navy SEALs under Operation Neptune Spear. The wars in Afghanistan and Iraq stretched on, costing trillions of dollars and hundreds of thousands of lives. The US officially withdrew from Afghanistan in August 2021, ending its longest war, but not without controversy and chaos. And for those who lived through it, 9/11 is remembered not just as a moment of horror, but also of unity, a time when people came together, helped strangers, and stood resilient in the face of horror. Today, the 9/11 Memorial and Museum in New York City stands as a solemn reminder of that day and of those who were lost. The footprints of the Twin Towers now hold two vast reflecting pools etched with the names of every victim. 9/11 changed the world. It changed how we travel, how we view security, and how nations interact. It sparked wars, reshaped foreign policy, and ignited long-lasting debates about freedom, safety, and global conflict. Understanding 9/11 isn't just about looking back, it's about learning how history unfolds and how we choose to respond. Never forget.